There's one thing that I make every year that is kind of like the holy grail of my gardening season, and that is tomato sauce. It's September in the garden, and now is the time where I get kind of that second flush of summer tomatoes. Usually in the heat of the summer, like July, my tomatoes kind of slow down because it's really hot, and then August they kind of start flowering again, and then September we get that bounty. And what better way to preserve a ton of tomatoes than to turn them into sauce. Tomato sauce is so versatile, and it's so nice to just pull it off the shelf in the dead of winter when you're really craving a summer tomato. You can use it for pasta, pizza, lasagna. You can get creative with it and use it for many other things. It's just all around a really great thing to have on your shelf. Today I'm partnering with the makers of Ball home canning products to show you guys how to make my favorite tomato sauce recipe, which comes from this book. This is the Ball Blue Book 38th edition Guide to Preserving. It's an amazing, amazing canning recipe book. We're gonna make the roasted garlic tomato sauce recipe from here. It's the best sauce I've ever made. I have made this many years in a row. You honestly can't go wrong with any of the tomato sauce recipes that they have, and trust me, they have a lot. I've tried a bunch over the last 5 years, but the roasted garlic has a special place in my heart. I think a lot of people can get intimidated with the thought of making a tomato sauce, but trust me, please don't be intimidated. It's so easy. Even if you're a beginner, you can make this recipe, and I'm gonna be walking you guys step by step through the entire process. First, I'm gonna grab some fresh tomatoes from my garden. You can use any type of tomato for this, but Romas are preferred, paste tomatoes are preferred just because they have a little bit less water content, they're more meaty, they have less seeds. I'm gonna be using mostly Roma tomatoes, but I do have some mortgage lifter tomatoes that I'm gonna throw in here. We're also gonna need some fresh basil for this recipe. I have a ton of fresh basil in my garden. I actually really need to do some preserving with all of this basil. And then we're also gonna need some fresh oregano if you have it in your garden. Unfortunately, I'm having to grab mine from the store because my oregano plant had some fungal disease issues, so I just cut it all the way back. All right, I think we got all that we need here. For this recipe, we need 9 to 10 pounds of tomatoes, and I think that this is it. Let's make our way into the kitchen and make some sauce. As soon as we get into the kitchen, I like to lay out all of my utensils, everything that I'll need. So first, I'm using the Ball Easy Canner for this, but you can use a regular canner if you wish. We also need our jars. So we're using quart jars for this recipe, and we need about 3 of them. Make sure that the lids you're using are brand new for safety reasons, but you can reuse your jars and your rings. Next, we need our jar lifter so that we can lift the jars in and out of the canner. We need a funnel, and then I'm also using a lid lifter. Then we need a debubbler and headspace measuring tool. This is 2-in-1. And lastly, we need a ladle to scoop out the sauce. After I have washed everything with warm soapy water, I'm now filling the canner with water and adding in my jars. I'm not going to set it to preheat just yet because we have some roasting to do first, but I'm just getting them prepped. Next, I'm weighing out my tomatoes and making sure I have about 10 pounds, and I do. So I'm going to wash all the tomatoes really well and place them into a roasting pan. I'm putting the oven on broil because we want them to get nice and charred while they're in there. It really adds a nice flavor. While the tomatoes are in the oven for about 15 minutes, I'm prepping 3 heads of garlic by cutting off the tops to expose the cloves and then wrapping them in tin foil to roast. Once the tomatoes come out, I'm going to put some tin foil over them while they cool, and this will help those skins loosen up so you can pull them right off. Then the oven is going to go back down to 350 degrees Fahrenheit to let the garlic roast for about 30 minutes or so. While the garlic is roasting, we're going to remove the skins from the tomatoes. Isn't it so nice how they just slip off like that? Then we're going to core them and remove as many of the seeds as you can, and then cut them up and put them into a stock pot. You honestly don't even have to cut them up if they're super gooey anyways, just try your best. If you're super picky about seeds, you can run the tomatoes through a sieve or one of those de-seeding gadgets. I don't really mind so much, so I just try to remove them by hand when cutting. When you take the garlic out of the oven, it should be nice and roasted, and this part is so satisfying. After you let it cool, you should just be able to easily squeeze the garlic out. I love this part. To the tomatoes, we're gonna add all of the garlic and then 2 tablespoons of that fresh basil that we harvested. Make sure it's minced, and then add 1 tablespoon of the oregano, also minced, and lastly 1 cup of chopped onion to the pot. For spices, we're keeping it simple with 1 teaspoon of salt and a half a teaspoon of coarse ground black pepper. We're going to be cooking this on medium heat for about 30 minutes, and this is the point where we want to go ahead and start preheating those jars. I'm going to turn the dial over to preheat and then press next, and it should start. Make sure to keep stirring the sauce while it's heating, and then our canner is going to beep and let us know that it's ready to fill the jars. Pretty cool, and this is where all the fun begins. We're gonna start by taking out our jars one at a time, and to our jars we're gonna either add 2 tablespoons of bottled lemon juice, very important that it is bottled, which is what I'm doing, or you can also use citric acid instead. This is just to help preserve the sauce and it doesn't alter the taste at all. Next, place on your funnel and start filling up the jars. We wanna fill them until they have about a half an inch of headspace, which is the distance between the sauce and the top of the jar. Use your debubbler to push out any air bubbles and then just flip it around to measure the headspace. Wipe your rims with a paper towel to make sure there's no residue and the lids can get a good seal. Then go ahead and place on your lid and your ring. When twisting the ring, only go finger tight, which is only as much as your fingers can tighten it. You don't want to grab it and tighten it all the way. Go ahead and place your jars back into the canner, and I'm only canning 2 jars even though I made 3 because I knew I was just going to immediately eat one, so no point in canning it. Place the lid back on the canner and move on to the next step, which is processing. We are going to set this to process for 1 hour and 25 minutes. And this is where the Ball Easy Canner is so nice because I don't have to sit there and watch my pot boil for that long. I can just leave it alone and be confident that it is doing all of the legwork for me. It's going to beep and tell me that it's done, and this already includes standing time as well, which is just where the pot kind of cools down a bit from boiling. And then the jars are ready to remove. You want them to sit undisturbed for 12 to 24 hours so that they can seal properly. Don't touch them. This canner also has a safety feature built in, and I just love this because it automatically cuts off when it's done. The next day, remove the rings from the jars and test the seal. And you can do this by gently lifting up your jar from the lid, and if nothing goes terribly wrong here, your jars are good to go. They'll be shelf stable and you should enjoy them within a year for peak freshness. My absolute favorite way to enjoy this sauce is to just make a simple spaghetti. I like to just saute some ground beef, add in my sauce, and then enjoy it over some pasta with some fresh Parmesan cheese grated on top. One of the best parts about making things like this is enjoying the fruits of your labor. And not only can I enjoy it now, I can enjoy it in the long winter months because I preserved it. Taste test, spoiler alert, I already had a bite because I couldn't wait. It's perfect. It's the perfect tomato sauce base, and then you can kind of add to it or use it however you like after it comes out of the jar. But for spaghetti sauce, this is pretty spot on. It's garlicky. You can taste the roasted flavor of the tomatoes in it. Delicious. I'm actually gonna go get more sauce, but thank you guys so much for following along with me. Hopefully you've got a new tomato sauce canning recipe under your belt. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and go ahead and subscribe to Ball Canning as well for more recipes, educational videos, and of course, all of your canning necessities. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Substack. Also, check out the Garden Girls podcast. We drop new episodes every Wednesday at 6, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.